The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation's data for the month of October showed that, well, actually, we got an increase in housing starts. And when you look at the last 6 months, they have increased every single month. But our next guest says, well, this little bit of uptick pales in comparison to what we need to see in terms of addressing the supply gap in this country. That was echoed by the CMHC in its own data this morning. Let's bring in Mike Moffatt, Senior Director at the Smart Prosperity Institute. Mike, thanks so much for being with us. At least we're kind of moving in the right direction, baby steps as they may be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is a good news story. So we had 22,000 housing starts this October and relative to 21,000 last October. So we're moving in the right direction, which is a bit of a minor miracle given what's happening with interest rates and stories that we're hearing about projects being stalled. So overall, I think today's data is a good news story, but we need to keep in mind that the CMHC tells us we need to build over 5 million homes in 9 years to restore affordability. So that puts us at about 50,000 we need to be doing every month, not this 21 or 22,000. So moving in the right direction, that's a good thing, but we're not going nearly far enough.
Okay, so there's been all kinds of tax incentives for these builders to try and get that number up, notwithstanding this kind of high interest rate environment. When do you expect that that will filter into these numbers? And do you think that gets us closer to 50,000 a month?
Yeah, I think it's already starting to. That we're seeing numbers go up in Metro Vancouver and Metro Toronto, and where we're seeing the most activity is on the high-rise component. That the single detached home starts are down significantly. So I think these are starting to have an effect. It will take time. Obviously, planning a high-rise building takes a fair bit of time, but I think we're already seeing the HST move and some of these other moves start to kick in and create some purpose-built rental starts.
When you talk about, yes, purpose-built sort of rental starts, when you look at the quality and you disaggregate, what are the kind of units that we're building? Does it go a long way or some way to addressing the kind of housing that we need?
Well, it certainly helps. Now, we should be clear that most of these purpose-built rental units that are being built tend to be, one bedroom or studio apartments. And where we have the biggest needs are family-size units. So that's 3 bedrooms plus of any type of form. So, some of these components we are seeing moves in the right direction. But the biggest challenge right now is finding a home suitable for families with young kids.
We have seen a lot of high-profile examples, especially this week, of pain in real estate for those that own office properties. And there's been a lot of discussion about why can't we just, kind of convert that to housing? There's zoning issues, there's structural issues. But how realistic is that as a solution?
Well, I think we are going to see some of that on the margin. It's really quite challenging just because the floor plates are significantly different, and requirements like having a bedroom window in every bedroom, which are absolutely needed, makes that a challenge. But I think we are starting to see some conversions, and I think in the office space area, we're starting to see built forms that are more easily convertible than what we've done in the past. So a building owner could convert it from office to residential or vice versa. So I think we are starting to see that in floor plans. But those big office towers from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, they are very, very difficult to convert.
Talk to, the prospective home buyer, especially that age that is traditionally looking for a home, as sort of household formations begin, they're starting a family, that home with a yard and a white picket fence. There's been so many people who say that's just not realistic.
Well, I think we have a lot of that inventory still out there, and I think we need to do some things to make sure that inventory stays with families. So, for example, we're losing a lot of those homes to student rentals. With the international student boom, those students need somewhere to live, and we see investors buying up those homes. So we can do something about it. We can create more on-campus residence spaces to ease the pressure off of that market and allow for those first-generation home buyers to be able to buy those single detached homes.
We get a fall fiscal update next week with already so much that has been announced. What would you like to see in terms of advancing this conversation? Because it does feel like for the first time in a while, at least at every level of government, there's an acknowledgement that there's a destination they all need to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a number of things the federal government can do. So one of the big things is offering long duration fixed term financing. Now, there's so much interest rate risk right now that if the government could come up with programs that would allow builders and developers to lock in interest rates at 15 or 20 years, I think that would go a long way. And we need to be more innovative and more productive when it comes to home building. Canada has an innovation strategy for everything from lentils to aerospace, but we don't have one for housing construction, despite what an important sector it is. So I'm hoping to see some advancement on the innovation side. So when we are building those homes, we can build them faster and more climate friendly.